ask a lot of people here on YouTube, on Twitter, on the internet, how and why Sony are going to dominate the next generation Xbox, and they will tell you the games. Their first party lineup, that is all that's needed. In fact, it doesn't even matter how much power PlayStation 5 has, how much performance is there. Most people only care about those first-party games, and Microsoft do not stand a chance in this area. And the worst part is, this is being said all while forgetting everything that's happened over the past 10 months. Well, I haven't forgotten. I haven't forgotten the doubling of Xbox Game Studios. I haven't forgotten the acquisition of phenomenal talent from developers like Sony Santa Monica. And I happen to know Microsoft are going all out, not only in software, the thing that I've been asking for more of, but hardware as well. Microsoft are the ones doubling down on console gaming while providing players the freedom to do as they wish. Some of you will be surprised to learn that as good as The Last of Us 2 looks, or as great as God of War was, they are not enough to kill off their competitor. Something that I hear a lot of people saying. It's almost like many of you don't understand how important competition is. So with PlayStation 5 rumors continuing to heat up, and the very high possibility of Microsoft having the performance advantage with their next Xbox, much like they do with Xbox One X today, I already hear people saying, well, PlayStation 5's power, its performance, it simply doesn't matter. The first-party games are going to win the generation. Well, there's more to the story, and while not an absolutely ridiculous claim, it's still short-sighted. So yes, PlayStation 5's performance will matter. Consumers care about these things after all. But let me tell you why Sony's future may not be as secure as you may think regarding their games, and let me show you why graphics matter. Now, do not make the mistake of thinking that I'm saying nothing else matters but visuals. That would be, of course, very silly, especially given my history of asking more from Microsoft. We all want better experiences and more competition, but do not kid yourself by saying people interested in buying a next-generation PlayStation, a console known for being much more capable than its predecessor, are not primarily doing so for a leap in graphics technology. As a matter of fact, all relevant search history regarding PlayStation 5 has to do with what the console's capable of, the types of visuals it's going to deliver, pioneering technologies like ray tracing in real time, and more, most of which having to do with the visual facet. After all, Sony does a fantastic job building a narrative for many of their games, and they back this up with top-notch visuals. It's all part of immersion. It's all very important. I'd like to think this combination is one of the reasons I enjoy God of War so much, Spider-Man as well. Remember, a game that looks great is good. A game that plays great is great. But a game that plays great is fun and looks amazing is phenomenal. This is part of that magic combination that God of War had, in my opinion. You may agree, you may disagree. I know this is an Xbox channel, but I've always given credit where it's due. I think they did a phenomenal job with that game. I'm digressing. Ultimately, graphics, visuals, performance are extremely important. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise. All search regarding PlayStation 5 suggests that that's what people are thinking as well, and ultimately they just want to know why they should pick this thing up. In fact, they know that the games are going to be there. They just want to know what this box does differently than the one they have, especially given the fact that Sony are going to have a pretty good size window for cross-generation titles. This is all but assured. Yes, this means you'll be able to buy games like The Last of Us 2 and be able to play this on both PS4 and PS5. As a matter of fact, Sony had very few games on the dockets aside from The Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, and Ghost of Tsushima. Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, almost 100% chance you'll be playing these on the PS4 as well as the PS5. Ghost of Tsushima, I had heard long ago that that was a 2020 title, almost assuredly a PS5 launch title, though this does not prevent it from being a cross-gen title as well. Now, of course, like Microsoft, there will be new software announced. Time will pass, sequels will come, praise will obviously be given. But as of right now, what first-party games are going to sell the PlayStation 5? There are no more games on the dockets. There are no more release or confirmation dates. The games that would sell the PlayStation 5 are also the games that will most likely be available on the PlayStation 4, insinuating that gamers are buying that PlayStation 5 for the better graphics. Something we already know, yes, but some say, hey, only the games will sell PlayStation 5. It's all about that first party, apparently. But add to all of what I just said the fact that Sony are looking to bring their games to any device, quote unquote. This means you'll be able to play PlayStation games once again on more devices. Remember, Sony had already brought PlayStation Now, their streaming service, with now over 200 PS4 games on said streaming service, to PlayStation TV devices, Samsung TVs, PS3, PS4, and PC, with their latest job listings revealing the fact that they are looking to bring all of these games to any device, mobile, tablet, etc. I actually did a video on this leak. I will link that down below. So, much like Microsoft, Sony are looking to offer the casual gamer a very accessible option. And this is good. Not only is it good for you to have more options to have access to your games that you paid for wherever you want, but it's good for publishers, developers, and of course those without access to consoles. It's a tremendous option for the casual. So while some are freaking out about Microsoft bringing their games to streaming services like xCloud, Sony have been doing this for years through PlayStation Now. They plan to expand this to all mobile devices, just like Microsoft. If you couldn't tell, these companies want to sell more software. This should not irritate you. This should not aggravate you. You should actually be happy that you have more ways to play your purchases how you want, when you want, where you want. You benefit zero from being locked down to just one box. It's true, more options are always better, and according to the credible rumors we're hearing out of some of these insiders who have proven to be correct, the next generation Xbox Anaconda is said to be noticeably, significantly faster than the PS5. Right around this time frame, we start hearing people say, well, it doesn't really matter how powerful PS5 is, because they have those games. Well, as we just proved, as we just talked about, people are going to buy the PlayStation 5 for its performance first and foremost. This is why you buy a more powerful system. Also, as we just covered, PlayStation games will be available in more places than ever, just like Microsoft games. This will happen, and it creates yet another avenue for people to play their games. It's smart, it's good. And yet, at the same time, it's also another reason people are going to actually pick up the PS5. The way these games look and run. Hey, there's no reason to pretend now that you don't care about these things. Hell, I would argue that PlayStation fans care about visuals more than most. After all, it was the #1 reason people bought the PlayStation 4 over the Xbox One for years, according to multiple third-party surveys. Of course, games matter. They are absolutely essential, but there will always be games from a number of publishers and developers. Most people that game do not care which publisher or developer makes a game, they just want a good game. Something else many PlayStation fans will admit. If you remember, the launch titles for the PlayStation 4 were not all the rage. They weren't that great on either platform, but those multiplats reign supreme, 300,000 pixels stronger, and of course, let's not forget the 5 extra blades of grass. So as mentioned before, the games definitely matter, but those games will be there to most people. After all, 90% of console owners do not even buy or touch an exclusive of that console. While first party is extremely important, that's why I've continued to press for better, let's not pretend that multi-platform games do not make up the vast majority of sales. These are easily some of the biggest games of the year. Performance, visuals, These things have been shown to drive engagement. And yes, no matter how powerful PS5 is next generation, it will do great. But why discount Microsoft, especially after all that they've done in the last 10 months? If you want to know the real reason that most people would go to PlayStation 5 instantly without a thought, day one, must have, must buy, must go, it's actually one I hear very few people talking about. Your library, your purchases. Who wants to ditch $1,000 worth of games to go to a competing platform? Not me. So if you've got 400 PlayStation 4 games, once again, bet that other ass cheek that those will be backwards compatible. Who wants to ditch all of this money, all of this software that you've invested in? Very few people. Microsoft have a uphill battle here, convincing people that, hey, maybe you should try Xbox again. Especially now that for the first time ever, people have seriously invested in digital goods on a console. That, in my opinion, is the truest excuse as to why PlayStation 5's power will mean nothing to a lot of people. They've invested in that ecosystem, with, of course, digital games taking over for many. It's harder than ever to leave. It's obvious, power and performance matter, and a lot of these comments are being made in the first place because all credible rumors point to Microsoft having the faster console next generation. But once more, I must beg the question. Why ignore everything Microsoft has done in the last 10 months? Why discount the fact that they've over doubled their studios since E3 2018? Why discount the fact that every single studio that they've had has hired and increased funding? Why discount the fact that Phil Spencer literally said this year that you will see new games from their studios? And why ignore titles like Halo Infinite, Gears of War, and more? Yes, they are the usual suspects, but so are Uncharted, God of War, and The Last of Us. At the end of the day, Microsoft are among the most profitable they've ever been with the Xbox brand. They are quadrupling down on games, providing pro-consumer services like Xbox Play Anywhere, Game Pass, and developing not one, but two different hardware-based, locally powered Xbox consoles. They have stated over and over this is important to them. That's what I call doubling down on console gaming. Of all times, this entire generation, knowing all of these things that I just said, this is the time where you're actually quite excited as an Xbox fan. Or at least I am. Yes, I've experienced these phenomenal PlayStation games on my PS4 Pro. But of course, I continue to play multi-plats on the ecosystem that I prefer, on the console that gives me what is usually easily the best looking console version of any given game, all while asking and demanding better of Microsoft, and I'm glad to see that they have responded. They have finally gotten rid of Terry Myerson and gotten the funding that they deserve. Now, we all hope for competition. If not for competition, we are all doomed. So, let me know what you think down below. Honestly, I am waiting for the day that people realize what is and what is not pro-consumer. It's one of the reasons this video was kind of all over the place. For one, we had to address those who were damage controlling the fact that Microsoft may put out the most powerful system next generation. That would be 2020. That narrative always shifts every single time there is a disadvantage. It's hard not to notice. Then we've got to address the fact that people can't figure out what's actually good for them. They can't stop and think about what benefits them instead of what benefits their favorite console war. I definitely have a preference, but I also definitely understand what's better for me. Having access to all of my things on more platforms wherever I want, or having it locked down to one box. And lastly, the point of this video is to, well, point out the fact that Microsoft are literally the sleeping giant right now. If you've been keeping up with things that are going on in the industry, you know that they have the funds that they need to seriously compete. If you know your ABCs, you know this spells serious trouble for Sony in 2020, provided Microsoft do not make any big mistakes like they did in 2013. Think about it, a doubling of studios, increased talent, increased budget, services like Xbox Game Pass, Play Anywhere. Add to that the fact that you're going to be able to play their games anywhere through xCloud, and then smash it all with the Xbox Anaconda, the rumored monster of a console that they are releasing in 2020. They are hitting all the boxes right now, and to me, that spells serious competition. Like it or not, the cloud is a big part of how Microsoft and Sony plan on reaching 1 billion or more gamers over time. Let's try a little bit less fear-mongering and maybe try something a little bit new. And regarding PS5, you should want more power, you should want more options with your games, you should want more from Sony, the same way I want more first-party greatness from Microsoft. There is no need to start damage controlling the second you hear these rumors, these very credible rumors, of an extremely powerful Xbox coming next generation. Ask Sony for more. But hey, that's my time. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you like this video, please, this is important, hit that like button, maybe share this with a buddy or two if you get a second. Really enjoy going all out on these types of videos, and it's been easier than ever thanks to this new Threadripper PC. This thing is a monster. So once more, let me know what you think down below. Also, check out the links down below if you want to support this channel on Patreon. Follow me on Twitter or Xbox Live. Every little bit helps, guys. So once more, thanks. I'm Dealer. I'm out.